Hello and welcome. Another Tuesday edition. We are live. It is December 23rd, 2025. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. I hope all of you get the opportunity to spend the holiday with family and friends. As much as we think about this holiday as gifts, oftentimes it's the simple engagement and gathering of being able to see family, see friends that you may not have seen for a while. And I simply want to say happy holidays to each and every one. I am tremendously blessed. I am deeply appreciative and very, very grateful that I get to spend Tuesday evenings with you. This has been an extraordinarily, um, really, I think this is the most messages that I have ever received. So, first, I want to say thank you to everyone that watched on last Tuesday. Sometimes you think a random topic is just going to be boring, and yet it seems to catch the attention of the masses. And this week was kind of caught me off guard, and hopefully we'll address some of those questions that came in this week. Um, I do want to say again, thank you to everyone that took the time to send in the questions. Want to answer one question. Pro line balls, we have talked to, or I have talked to many college coaches over the last 4 months during the fall season. Recently spoke with Bill Salento at Wake Forest, the associate head coach at Wake Forest, and he could not say enough great things about the pro line ball. I've spoken with softball coaches. I've spoken with baseball facilities, the Lions Den in Porter, Texas. They have used the balls indoors, outdoors. They use them for catchers. They use it for receiving, blocking, so many various drills. So I encourage you to simply, if you go to prolineballs.com, you use the code BlueBook at checkout, you will get your 15% discount. They are truly, in my opinion, the best training ball on the market for hitters, for catchers, for fielders. There's a myriad of different ways they can be used. Want to remind everyone today that this is live, so I will put the spectacles on and I will answer your questions. And I will make sure that I do the best I can. Merry Christmas, JD. Merry Christmas, Trevor. Mario, thank you very much for becoming a new member. I don't know who CLB is, but I appreciate you becoming a new member. This week we are preparing, when I say we, Baseball Blue Book, myself, all of college baseball, Major League Baseball, youth baseball, everything and anything to do with the business and the game, the sport of baseball, gears up for its annual meeting called the ABCA, the American Baseball Coaches Association. This year it's in Columbus, Ohio, January 8th through the 12th, typically Thursday through Sunday. It's a great opportunity. If you've never attended one of those events, I strongly suggest, if you're a fan of the sport of baseball, I strongly suggest that you do that. This week, over the last couple of weeks, I have spoken to more coaches, not so much from a recruiting perspective, and I have really begun to kind of gather some insight because there are a lot of changes that are quietly unfolding. Today, for instance, great conversation with a tremendous young coach. If you're ever in the vicinity, Jordan Tuhig, he is the assistant coach at the University of Hawaii. Lots of worse places you can be than the University of Hawaii. But, prior to that, he was at the University of Washington. He was at St. Mary's. He was at Charleston Southern. And now he is with the what I consider to be legendary coach of Rich Hill. Hilly's been around the game for a very long time. But we've been talking to a lot of coaches, and I'm going to share that with you tonight. Oftentimes, I think we take this approach that all that is going on within college athletics right now is a negative. And while I'm not going to argue there are challenges, I do want to offer you as parents some changes that are not being discussed that I think that you as parents should be keenly aware of. And I think we're going to gain more insight into this tonight's topic as we go into and complete the 2026 Major League Baseball season. So, again, if you at any point have a question, I want you to stop me. I want you to ask me a question, and I want to be able to answer those questions. If you have questions after the event, after tonight, after the live is finished, I encourage you to email Walter at CoachBeede.com. Another, before I continue, because I got this an awful lot, the Blue Book is being upgraded rapidly. The Blue Book is, in my opinion, is now going to take on a very unique role, and I'm very proud to be a part of that. We are going to do some pretty amazing things, not just with baseball and softball, but with youth sports in general, on a variety of different levels: training, nutrition, things of that nature. And so, if you are a parent and you're looking to get started, or if you are a student athlete, this week I helped 3 athletes from the Blue Book kind of gain some insight into what to put into their profiles, what type of videos to put on there. And then I kind of directed them in the direction of a specific school or two that has an interest in the position that they play. But it's a free app. It's a free app. It's nothing more than a resource. And there's no such thing as the one and done type application or part of your entire high school or youth athletic experience. It starts by just creating a profile. I don't really get into uh, blanketing your cell phone number or your email address. You can put that all in the Blue Book, but you can do it in such a way that only the coaches can gain access to that. And I'm going to touch on that reason for that why. But I do want you to encourage you to also go ahead and create that free Blue Book profile. And lastly, if you are watching this particular live Q&A, whether it's actually live or you find your way to it over the next few weeks or so, please, we are trying to build a community that inspires, encourages, informs the community members. This is no such thing as one person having all the answers, one entity being the right place. I think if we together collectively can take all of the questions, your questions could be the same question that someone else is looking for an answer. That's why I encourage people to ask questions and engage. But I'm asking you to create engagement with videos. Even if you can just go to the YouTube channel, watch some shorts from beginning to end, give us a thumbs up, comment. If you see a couple of the shorter videos that aren't going to require a lot of time, it does help push the information in the channel out to a larger audience, and in turn allows us to create more content. I have spent a great deal of the second half of 2025 with creating content. Some of you that are members are seeing things on there from recruiting, from pitching, youth sports and nutrition and things like that. Those are all part of the channel to help inform. So if you can, especially over the holidays, you find yourself in a hazy staze of, maybe mashed potato, turkey, too much pasta, what have you. If you want to watch a few videos, it certainly will help out the channel. Okay, we got our first question. In light of the draft being cut, okay. Now, here's the question, and I'm going to use it as a lead in for our discussion point this evening. In light of the draft possibility being cut in half, meaning currently from 20 rounds, formerly 40, then 20, there are discussions being held, and we're going to talk about that now. Doesn't make sense for a student athlete drafted this summer, i.e., 2026, in the later rounds, probably rounds 10 through 20, to possibly take and sign as 27. He might not have the opportunity again. Okay, I'm going to answer that in a second. But what I want to start off with, the underlying message, and I don't know how active you are in social media, but yesterday there was a social media post on Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, where a young man from Japan has signed with Penn State, and several high-level Division I baseball players, predominantly that played at USA Baseball, know this particular student athlete that's going to Penn State. And he would be what you would call an elite Division I athlete, upper 90s, elite secondary pitches, big, strong. And so I want parents to understand, several years ago, I took a lot of shrapnel when I started to tell people that the international athletes were going to make a strong pathway to college baseball, not just Division I. I think it's important to understand all of college baseball. And the international students now, whether it be Stanford, obviously Penn State, these schools are, we like to think it's just Canada. But if I ask you, who's the biggest or the best Major League Baseball team over the last 2 years? The answer, based on the World Series, is the Los Angeles Dodgers. And with all due respect to Mookie Betts, if I asked you who are the biggest, brightest stars on the Los Angeles Dodgers, we would get two athletes from Japan. Now, what does that have to do with college baseball? There is a large undercurrent. If we take Pat Murphy from the Milwaukee Brewers, formerly of Notre Dame, obviously Arizona State. We look at Wes Johnson, former pitching coach, Minnesota Twins, big leagues now. I'm talking big leagues. He is Wes Johnson, now the head coach at Georgia, University of Tennessee, those guys in orange. Their head coach, Tony Vitello, now the manager of the San Francisco Giants. Now, what is that signifying, and why is that of importance to you as parents with regard to recruiting or youth sports? It's meant to get you to understand that there is let's call it a pre-engagement that is going on within Major League Baseball and NCAA Division I baseball. And the reason why is it makes a whole bunch of sense. It's definitely going to make the game better. Now, if you as a parent want validation to my opinions, I would ask you to go through the last 2 years of Major League Baseball. And I want you to look at some of the biggest breakout stars. Nick Kurtz, college a year ago. Paul Skeens, LSU 2 years ago. My point is, a lot of the development that is taking place, that used to take place back, decades ago, with rookie ball, short season, low A. Well, rookie ball and short season are already gone. Low A, I think, is next, as well as a reduction in the rounds of the draft. So to answer the question from, the subscriber that's watching, if you feel that, this is a great opportunity to get your foot in the door, and professional baseball is at the forefront of your decision, meaning that's the dream, that's the end goal. Maybe you're a college student and you feel like there may not get another bite at that apple, then absolutely proof positively, if you were blessed with the opportunity to be drafted, um, really any round, 10 through 20, um, because it's really not about the money that you're going to make with regard to the draft. It's really about trying to get in and find your way. So I'm going to answer that. But let's go back to the prospective marriage between Major League Baseball and college. It's a much, much bigger topic that you won't find many people talking about. And the reason for that is I don't think enough people have the foresight to understand that in the next collective bargaining agreement, which is coming down in 2027, at the completion of the 2026 Major League season, which is why, coincidentally, I believe that the NCAA at the Division I level kicked the can down the road with regard to the 5 years of eligibility. I think they're waiting and having discussions to see what Major League Baseball is going to do with the draft and where the kind of connecting points are going to be. And so this is the bigger discussion point that you as parents have to begin to understand. Now, how does that affect all of college baseball? And when I ask coaches, this question, it simply means that you're going to have athletes that are in the college, what I call sphere, probably from between the ages of 20 to 25. I just think that's going to become fact. And it's not a matter of what level you're playing in. And we've had this discussion numerous times. It's really about where is the fit that is allowing you to get between the lines and create your resume. This particular fall, a lot of younger athletes prepared properly, did what they thought was necessary to maintain a roster spot, only to come out and find out at the end of November that they were going to be told that there was no room at the inn. And the connecting point to this is that we're going to start to see, I don't want to use the word collaborations, but we're going to start to use our contacts within the industry. So a coach at, let's say, school A at the Division I or Division II level may go to a JUCO, if it's applicable, a freshman or potentially a high school student. We're going to get them to try to go to this JUCO, get between the lines, play, and then be re-recruited by the school that may have, set them free. That's one. Two, much of the development for Major League Baseball and professional baseball, and this is where the foreign students come in, is going to now be placed at the feet of the college coaches at all levels, predominantly, obviously, Division I, NCAA Division I, also JUCO Division I. That's another piece to my puzzle. And let's clarify that. So now you see these foreign students. I think what we don't understand is two things. Right now, there's an international draft that in 2022, Major League Baseball tried to remove. And Latin countries, and I understand why, a lot of people making a lot of money fought vehemently against it. And they kind of just said, okay, we're not going to push that to the end. And that was the final sticking point, and that was what ultimately got both parties to sign. Now, I think you're going to see an elimination to the international draft, a reduction of the major league draft, and now you're going to literally have all of these international athletes trying to find their way into JUCOs, Division threes, NAIAs, because they want to create their resume and ultimately move up into the Division I. What used to be minor leagues, which again, short season, rookie ball, short season, low A, will now be college baseball at any level. And then hopefully over the course of that, what currently is 4 years, soon to be 5 years for the 4-year schools, now you're basically in that low A window. And if you've made your way to Division I, Major League Baseball is able to evaluate, and now you're getting that almost ready talent or near ready talent that's coming out of college and moving into the big leagues. or into the higher levels of minor league baseball. And so, what I need parents to begin to understand is what we need to talk about is how do we get your student athletes, I say our, I allude to the families that I work with, how do we get them to be on par and ready for the new reality that's current and the reality that's coming? And when I'm asking this question to college coaches, they'll say things to me like, okay, if we go back 5 years ago, and the eighth and ninth and 10th graders were, a part of our recruiting process. Well, that's no longer happening. So now my advice to the eighth, ninth, and 10th graders is to take a much, much more aggressive position with regard to, you don't have to sacrifice your reps, but you do have to begin to implement your routines that emulate and simulate what it looks like at the college level. Meaning, you got to care about what's going in your body. You got to care about the hydration. You got to care about the nutrition. You got to care about your practice reps with the pro line balls. You got to make your routine. You got to be building. You got to be building, and not only skill, but strength, size, body. I would say this week, I talked to several, greater than 20 coaches this week. Again, more towards participation and anticipation of the ABCA. But when I asked them, hey, what kind of advice what can we begin to disseminate to parents? And they say, no need to panic. In other words, college baseball has always been and will continue to be, you must have skill, but now you must have a equal to body and schedule, meaning time management capability, to be able to compete with those 20-year-olds. And so that's our topic tonight. And those are the questions we want. When we talked about the international student, I really think in my heart of hearts, a lot of people laughed at that. And I understand, and they think, well, that means Canada. Well, that might mean Puerto Rico or the Dominican. No, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, China, Korea, Taiwan, uh, heck, Germany. We're starting to see now. Some parent want, this isn't an invasion. I want to be really clear here. This is nothing more than Major League Baseball is saying to college baseball, hey, we should start a relationship. We should start dating a little bit more or more frequently. We've always kind of, crossed each other's paths, but now we really should take a deeper look because there's a lot here as far as the college coaches are the developers of the talent. It used to be the minor league coaches, and the minor league coaches would ultimately move up and become major league managers. Well, now the college coaches are the developers of the talent, and they're the ones that are being sought after because maybe they connect better with the younger major league athletes. And there's a deeper dive. I could go down that rabbit hole, but I won't. And so there is a true pending engagement between Major League Baseball and college baseball that is going to take a much, much stronger kind of grip on youth baseball. And I want to be ahead of that for parents, for athletes, and I want to get that in a discussion point. Um, you know, let's see. Okay, yes, of course, Trevor. I'm all over your Penn State Nittany Lions. Um, Coach, Merry Christmas. Keith Simmons, thank you, sir. I am to say I'm concerned about all of these changes in the past few years would be an understatement. The flood in the road has went from a 5 or 6 lane superhighway now down to 1 or 2 lanes. And Keith, that is a great analogy. And again, for those parents that can't see, my screen here, Keith Simmons really talking about, and this is a great analogy, that the road is narrowing. It used to be this super highway of the JUCO division over here, the NAIA division way over there, and the Division III and Division II down here, and the Division I up here. Now it's college baseball. and college baseball and Major League Baseball are intersecting, and we need to get ahead of that curve. That's exactly what I'm saying, Keith. Road with a ton of talent, all fighting for spots. Very, very, very true. What are the changes that the NCAA Division One? What are the chances of the? I would say they are very strong. Question: what are the chances that the NCAA Division One is going to add a fifth year of playing eligibility? And what are the chances that being decided next month at the ABCA? Won't happen at the ABCA for Division One. May happen for Division Two. Very important to kind of make that distinction. Right now, there are two entities that have this fifth year eligibility on the table. NAIA divisions 1 and 2. They basically have this tabled for April. NCAA Division 2 has this tabled for a vote in January, likely at the ABCA. I would say strong chances to both NAIA and Division Two. Then subsequently, it's coming to Division One. I have been saying that for 3 years. I stand on the top of that mountain. If I am wrong, I will be the first one to say, "Slay me! I was wrong. I missed that one." It's okay, but in my opinion, 5 years is definitely coming. So I want to squeeze this point, and I agree. Keith is absolutely. What we have to understand are two basic points. If you're a parent of a high school student, what I want you to understand, the talent at the college level has risen to levels only because more athletes are being pushed into college. When we used to have MLB draft and free agent signings, it used to be the draft 60 rounds, 40 rounds, lots of free agent signings. We don't have that as much anymore because of attrition. And the reduction of minor league teams means there's not enough roster spots. They are going to eliminate, I believe, low A, and they are going to ultimately have A ball, double A, triple A. And what's going to replace the rookie ball, short season, and low A is college baseball. So now let's talk about that for a second. Approximately 25 years ago, and this is a fact, you can look this up. And I said this a couple years ago and was laughed at. NCAA hockey, Division III, Division II, Division I, they essentially shook the high school hockey world by coming out and saying, we are almost going to make it mandatory unless you are an elite athlete that is physically, mentally, and skill ready to join a team as an 18 or 19-year-old. They don't require, but they suggest that you do 2 years of junior hockey. Now, you may ask yourself, what in the wide world of baseball does this have to do with my athlete? Why 2 years? The reason is they wanted those athletes to come into school physically stronger, mentally mature, and having had experiences in life with time management, routines, travel, things that the high school athletes typically don't have. And so if you could go right now, not right this second, but at some point tonight or tomorrow before the holiday season kicks off, and look up an NCAA Division III hockey team, very prevalent in New England, Fitchburg State, Endicott, Nichols. Look at the Division II schools, Assumption, Bentley. Look at Division I. Look at the ages of the freshmen. Typically, they're 20 years old. They graduated from high school in 2023. They're now a college freshman at 20. Is it right? Is that the right thing to do? It may not, but I'm not here to discuss that topic. What I'm trying to tell you is if I take the foreign students and the interest level from Major League Baseball and the international players for a myriad of different reasons, and then I take our connection with college, meaning we want you, Mr. NCAA, NAIA, and NJCAA, to help us develop talent. The key word there is talent, not develop. Don't get lost in that. And so what's happening now is parents, your youth baseball, travel baseball, all great, but they're all beginning to see these changes. Trust me, you can't look at a program like Rob Bruno and NorCal and Andy Parton, with the Dirtbags and Jack Crescent and Ron Slusher with the Ohio Warhawks, and I can go on. And Next Level, with Ryan. These guys are always talking about strength, size, skill, develop talent. You got to be ready. You got to get reps. Um, it's because the game is going to take it to this level. So you're a parent. What can you do? You're a parent, you're a student athlete. How can I prepare? First of all, I want you to do two things immediately. One, remove the hourglass out of your brain, like remove that sand dripping down the hourglass and time. And I'm running around and I'm chasing. You can't chase. You can't chase. You can't chase. You can't chase. There's nothing that you can do to wave a wand or take a pill. There is no instant gratification in youth sports across the board. There are no youth. There's just nothing that can be instantly done to help your athlete, pole vault. Let's look at those 2 years with regard to the hockey scenario and what is currently happening to offset that. Obviously, hockey, they have a junior system in place. What does it cost for junior league hockey? Well, it can be anywhere from 10 to 15,000 to play, and I'm being kind. And then you got to pay for all the ancillary, the housing, hopefully find a host family, got to pay for food, got to pay for equipment. Now, if that were to come to youth baseball and softball, which it is going to come, what is it going to look like? Well, what it's going to look like is what these travel organizations like the Canes and some of these other A3 and some of these perfect game high school league, they're going to get an IMG. The IMG model is going to skyrocket here in the next couple of years. And, so what you have to begin to ask yourself is it really trying to pay all this money to go play baseball? Because let's look at the return on investment. If you're looking to go to college, and we've talked about this ad nauseum with regard to the total college experience, kudos to you. If you're looking to go to college strictly for the athletics, there is a wave that you're going to try to surf, and you're going to get bowled over, knocked over by more experienced surfers and very, very big, powerful waves. And those waves are MLB and a lot of other, big assets and industry within baseball. So for parents, we need to start listening, tuning in to these college coaches. And we need to listen to them when they say, if I was you, I would really begin to. Great conversation with Jordan today at the University of Hawaii. And he gave me, and I'm not going to take any credit for this, he gave me this great plan. And he said, Walt, I know you're big on acronyms, winners execute versus losers make excuses, we versus me. He said, what we do at the University of Hawaii is we have a woe and a bow, a woe bow. And we have things we're going to work on. We have things we're going to build on. Meaning what you're doing good or well, I want to build on. What you're not doing well, you want to work on. But you don't need to look at them in one like little tiny slivers. It might just be, here are the 4 things I need to work on. And during the course of the week, this is my plan to work and address those 4 things. And the things that I build on, I want to do those, but I don't want to focus so much time that I lose sight of the things I'm going to work on. Great tip for parents and athletes today. Serviceable. Use that. Take that. Run with it. Next, we all hear, and I am talking, you hear Jeremy Fouts and myself, we talk a lot about the nutrition component. Boy, oh boy, that's not anything that you should be dipping a toe in the water. You should be diving headfirst into that. And I will tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, the number one largest segment of growth in youth athletics is going to be the sports-specific training facilities that offer not only the amenities, but the knowledgeable people that can disseminate information in a healthy capacity to ensure your student athletes' health while they're trying to build strength. Strength is no longer like an optional type of topic. Nutrition is it shouldn't be an ancillary, like something you're just kind of looking into. The sooner you make that a part of your student athletes' daily routine, the better prepared your athletes are going to be with regard to being on par to compete with, okay, older athletes, now international athletes that are going to be staying in college longer. And so now we as adults need to begin to get you as parents and student athletes to understand nobody's trying to penalize anybody. Nobody's trying to create an unfair system. And what I'm saying to you is if you thought your student athlete was skilled before all of this came down, okay, let's not lose sight of that positive aspect. What I want you to begin to do is say, I don't need to be in a rush. Well, my son or my daughter is a 2026. What are we going to do? Or a 2027 and they're not getting any calls. Plenty of options. Let's call it what I always like to talk about is the floor and the ceiling. What's the worst thing that can happen to a 2026? The absolute worst. The sky begins to fall, it begins to rain on your parade. And the worst thing that can happen is they take a year off from school. It's been called a gap year. People from all over the world have done gap years. Some travel to hostels all over Europe to find themselves. Others just take a year to go to work to kind of gain a sense of responsibility and accountability. It's been done for a century. But this time you might want to be doing it I'll take some online classes that are transferable into a 4-year school. I'll get my body bigger. I'll stay in touch with the schools that are recruiting me. If, they say to me, we would love to see you go from 148 to 175 or 180 or 171 to 190. Communication, two-way street. But a gap year, that's your worst scenario. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is this reclassification. I don't think it's justified. I don't think it's the right thing. If you're going to go do, and I'm just using it as a phrase, I'm not using it as an entity. If you're going to go use the IMG model and do 8 hours a day of baseball and 1 hour a day of academics, well, then you're chasing a rabbit that, it's like a greyhound trying to chase a rabbit. I mean, very few catch that rabbit. So if you're going to do this, we want to have some level of academic component to it for balance, for balance, and begin to recognize that these local instructors, these all of these people that are taking the time. Now, I want to phrase this properly. You may have the greatest instructors. You may have the world's greatest travel organization. What I want you to understand, time is a currency that you control and manage. We talk about time management. How much time are you managing? Meaning, if there's no options, you have to do this with this instructor. You got to do that with that travel team. You go into this tournament. You're not managing. You're just following. You need to begin to structure your time with balance, like nutrition, strength, speed, skill development, obviously getting your reps. Reps are important. But who are the reps against? Another big discussion point with all of the college coaches that I have spoken with, particularly in the last 3 weeks. If you are a 27, a 28, if you are not seeking higher level competition, meaning college summer baseball, adult leagues, meaning there's lots of leagues. I played one till I was 38, and man, it was really good. Very good. If you're not trying to challenge yourself against older athletes, bigger, faster, stronger, more skilled athletes, and you're trying to compete with the current college athletes, the incoming, this young man coming in from Japan, I don't believe he's a high school senior. I think he's older. Because you have the starting shortstop at UCLA, Ross is talking about him like he's faced this guy when they go over there. So my point is, These international athletes aren't coming in at 16, 17. They're coming in at 19, 20, 21 because this is the gateway to the MLB. Hello, Shohei Otani. Look at these guys and the amounts of money they're making. You don't think there are people all over the world saying, okay, if I can go get an education and I can develop not only during the college season, but the summer league in the Cape Cod League, in the Northwoods League, in the New England Collegiate League, and in the West Coast leagues, they're all playing against older athletes, and that is how they are being evaluated. So, if you're a junior in high school and you are trying to play 16U baseball, there is going to be trouble on alley one. If you are a 15 or 16-year-old and you're not trying to play 17, 18, and in some cases 19, hello, American Legion, you're not doing things the right way. It makes no sense to be that high school athlete at 15 or 16 and try to tell a college coach, well, I want, I'm on a great 6A team in the southern state or western state, but yet I only in the summer I just play 15U or I just play 16U. Where is that going to get you? So I want parents to understand in closing, the major league executives in the NCAA Division I are about to form a very, very strategic business, big boy business relationship, partnership that's coming. The world internationally, we have the World Baseball Classic this year. Pay attention to all of these teams and look at their rosters and understand that a lot of those athletes, particularly the younger ones, they're going to be coming. Canada, Japan, China, Taiwan, Korea, they're going to be coming into the United States. I don't think you're going to see rosters immediately fill up, out of the 34 at Division I and 36 at Division II. I don't think we're going to see 50% of international students, but we're going to see 2 to 5 students on a lot of rosters. So multiply that times 600. That's a lot of athletes. So what I want parents to understand is we, this community particularly, need to really take the time to kind of be forward thinking and begin to see and project. And, if something doesn't happen, okay, well, we were prepared for that. Do you want to be reactive or do you want to be proactive? Being proactive cures a lot of looming disappointment. I promise you, being proactive will really help you with regard to hitting off the disappointment that may come from these changes that are coming. Tony, will you see rules for NAIA and NCAA becoming virtually the same over the next 5 years, given MLB influence? My opinion, no. NAIA is a much different model. They are much freer with regard to recruiting. They are much freer with regard to putting their rosters together. They tend to be there's a lot of nuances to NAIA that I don't ever see making their way into the NCAA with regard to recruiting policies, scholarships. NAIA is increasing in what they call stacking, which is going to be a subject for the beginning of next year with regard to money. But when it comes to 4-year, I think both will ultimately be 5-year eligibility. Can you see teams own college teams like they did in the old NHL, where MLB teams could do recruiting to specific colleges to develop? Tony, I believe that we will see at some point in the not too distant future, I believe we will see draft rights similar to the NHL, where teams, okay, if I take the NBA and the NFL, you go to college, you come out of those Division I or Division II schools, you go directly to the big leagues, the NFL and the NBA. NHL and MLB, well, we have minor leagues. We have AHL, we have ECHL, and hockey, we have A-ball, AA, and AAA. So I do think you're going to see some kind of discussion where you'll see rights, draft and follow rights with Major League Baseball. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Please, for the love of goodness. International players are going to have to start. They're not going to have to start attending colleges. It's what we must have to understand is, okay, if I am a major league executive and I have Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz at LSU, and over here at the University of Florida or Tennessee, Crochet, I'm able to evaluate, talent to talent. They're the same ages, and they're competing in media markets. They're interacting with media outlets. They have fan bases, so they're acting in a professional capacity, especially now with name, image, and likeness. So what I want you to understand is the international players. It's more advantageous for them from a draft perspective. Like, there's a reason why all of a sudden now in 2026 we're seeing these athletes beginning to come to these schools like Penn State and Stanford. One, they get to skip their professional commitment to the MPB, which is the Japanese Baseball League, and now they don't have to go through the posting process, which is a big topic, but we don't have time to cover. Now they can go. Now I'm a student at Penn State. I can be drafted, and I'm eligible for the same things that Paul Skeens was eligible for, or Crochet, or any of the big pitchers, Connor Fennell. So international students, it behooves them to come here and compete against the what is considered to be largely the greatest collection of amateur talent, which is college baseball, and then more importantly the college summer leagues, as I just alluded to. I do not see them ever expanding rosters from 34. Won't happen. It will not happen. Myriad of reasons, biggest which is Title IX. I'm just telling you, Title IX is a can of worms that is not going to be broached. It's not going to happen. I want you to understand that these players remain in developmental leagues in the DR, for example. That is an academy. Okay, so Latin academies, I still think there's going to be very similar to IMG Academy, but I do think there's going to be a GPS that's going to be set up where these players are going to come in and play at different structured levels of college. Could be JUCO. Now, I don't want to go too deeply down this because I lose people, but envision a world of JUCO being now draftable talent and NCAA being 3-year window talent development. So let's say I have a young international student and a high school phenom, but I really want to make sure that they're ready. Well, I'm going to make sure they go to Blinn or Eunice, Chipola, Weatherford, McClellan, Cisco. They're going to go, Chloe. They're going to go to these Division I JUCOs, and if they're lighting it up and they're physically ready, that's going to be the now talent that I can pluck because they're eligible to be drafted every year they're in junior college. So that's where the international piece from the Latin countries, I think, will begin to fit in. Scott, Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. I hope the Rempel family has a tremendous holiday season. There is also some news that the top travel organizations will have these teams will have these very talented guys looking to go to MLB, but did not get that spot because the lower A is gone. So travel baseball is here to stay. I don't have any disdain. I don't have any pain in my heart for travel ball, contrary to popular belief. I want you to understand that travel ball, you want me to give you the biggest change that's coming to travel ball? And you can book this by the year 2028 or 2029. And this is a fact. And if nobody else does it, I'm going to do it. We are going to see college summer leagues for the juniors in high school through the sophomores in college. And by that, I mean Division III, Division II, NAIA, JUCO, and all of these high school athletes that have the skill, the size, they're going to all start competing against each other. And that's going to be for the 17-year-olds through the 21-year-olds. And then the Cape League, the New England Collegiate, there's going to be more summer college baseball leagues. They're one of the biggest profit driven businesses is college summer base. Look at the Futures League. Look at the Perfect Game leagues. Look at all the leagues that are growing in all over the South and the Southeast and the Pacific Northwest. College summer baseball and all of these travel organizations, they're all going to get involved in that. I promise you, that is coming. Um, because at the end of the day, all of this, the rising tide is going to begin to lift all boats. None of this is to scare anybody. This is not meant to scare. This is meant to, let's put our ducks in a row. Let's really begin 8th and ninth grade. I think it begins a little earlier than that, but that another story for another day. 8th and ninth grade, let's begin to properly provide information and insight. There's not a college coach at any level, any division, I promise you from every fiber of my heart, that is doing anything that is mean-spirited or ill-intentioned. Coaches have to make decisions. That's why they're put in those roles. They have to evaluate, and none of them get it always right. So what I want you to understand is the more we inform and educate, the more prepared that you can be as families, as student athletes. This is not, we see things in clippets and snippets, and then we try to chase the gadgets and the gadgets and the gurus. And what all the coaches are waving with the yellow caution flag, the baseball, the Major League Baseball, everybody is coming out with the yellow caution flag. Whoa. There is no fast track to the big leagues. There is no fast track to college baseball. You have to put the time in. Don't make it drudgery. Don't make it like boring. There has to be a passion. There has to be a grit. Sometimes if you don't love something or someone, in today's world, it becomes disposable, and that's called burnout. You have to love something. You have to have a grit for something. And if you do, it's not working. It's basically routine. Big difference between working, trading time for money, and learning and growing and building something. WOBO. Work on, build on. Create that journal. Work on, build on. Jordan Tuhig, University of Hawaii. That's who brought that up. So I hope there was some insight here. If you have more questions, I'm happy to answer them for you. Walter at CoachBeede.com. I want to say a very, very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, every holiday. Last week, I got chastised. I grew up in New England in the North Shore of Boston. Everywhere I walked as a little kid, home from school, to the corner penny store, to Woolworths, my neighborhood. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, hey, Merry Christmas. It was never meant to be an opportunity to get confrontational. So for me, it's just a habit, but I want to make sure we say Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. If people want next Tuesday, I could continue on this topic. I have no problem doing that. I'm going to be live in Columbus this year, live. We're going to do live little coaches interviews. We're going to do live Q&As. We're going to see players. We're going to see managers. We're going to coaches. We're going to just do everything live. Again, that's going to be January 8th through the 12th. And next Tuesday, we'll come back. And Tony, happy holidays to you as well. Trevor, Merry Christmas. Dirt dogs. I think I offended somebody by saying something about a dirt dog, and I want to make sure. If I think of players like, I want to Dustin Pedroia, David Eckstein, they were overachievers. They were dirt dogs. Anything and everything that they could do to make themselves better. They played hard every day. They didn't ask when it was over. They just played until somebody told them, hey, we're all done here. You can stop now. Dirt dogs. It's not offensive. If anybody ever calls your student athlete, now that's a dirt dog. I mean, you can hang your hat on that and you can be proud if somebody notices. And I do want to slip in. I get one more question, and I have to pick up my wife because I don't want to upset the head honcho. A college coach said to me today, Walt, when you're talking to parents, now a lot of college coaches are listening on Tuesdays. They sit, they're in their room, the room at school. They're some coaches collectively a meeting. I had a coach say to me today, "Hey, Walt, the next time you're talking on one of those Tuesday night episodes, can you close with this topic?" We have people that do lessons on every facet of baseball: catching, fielding, throwing, pitching, hitting, you name it, they're doing it. And we have gadgets and gidgets and gurus and everybody that has the answers. But here's what I want parents to know when we're out looking at their student athletes. Can they score on a base hit from second base? What kind of turn did they take at third base to kind of cut the distance down? When they got the base hit to lead off an inning, did they challenge the outfielder to kind of, were they thinking two out of the box? Do the athletes really work on knowing the positions on the field, like the alignment, pre-pitch? Also, are they really going to college games? Like every college coach is saying the same thing. Get to those practices, get to those games. They have these short attention spans, but you're telling me on one hand that you want to be a college baseball player, but you can't watch baseball because it's boring. You can only get through 3 innings. And an athlete actually said that to a college coach. What? You can only watch 3 or 4 innings? Okay. My point is, make time for the little things. Make time in the WOBO. Work on, build on. Base running, game situations, situational awareness, cutoffs, relays, bunt defenses, steal, bases, bags, pop-up slides, all the other stuff that's going to matter just as much as how hard you can hit it, how fast you can throw it, how well you can field it, the little things. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah. I look forward to seeing everyone. T. James, thank you so much. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting our channel over 50,000 subscribers. Please, on your way out the door, watch some videos over the weekend. Comment below. Hit the subscribe button. Give it a thumbs up. Go to watch all of my. You don't have to watch them. Just go to all my videos and just hit thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. The more thumbs and the more engagement, the bigger we can build our community together and really begin to spread the word. Thank you again. And I look forward to seeing you next week when we're talking about 2026 and all that it's going to bring.